to speak.
Добрий день, шановні друзі і колеги. Радий бачити вас в сесійній залі Львівської міської ради. Знаєте, колись така фраза відома, яку можна перефразувати. Ми так довго чекали, цей день нарешті настав. Ми так багато говорили про електронний квиток, і я радий, що ми переходимо до активної фази. Радий, що багато відгукнулося фахівців і технічних, і економічних, дотичних до цієї теми, до Львова, тому що ми багато чули по Україні, знаєте, десь в ЗМІ лунало, то там провадили електронний квиток, то там, коли ми цікаво, значить, то ми були першими, як нас хтось обігнав, і виявлялося, якби повноцінного електронного квитка на Україні немає. Маю надію, що все-таки Львів буде першим, завдяки нашій праці, завдяки вашій участі. Радий вас ще раз привітати до обговорення сьогодні робочих моментів, до участі в конкурсі. Ну і з переможцем будемо окремо працювати вже більш детально по впровадженню електронного квитка на стисліші терміни. Я не знаю, на скільки днів тут гості наші. Один день, мабуть, мало, але активно попрацюйте, щоб ввечері ще погуляти по чудовому Львову, посидіти, випити кави, у вас залишились найкращі враження. Ну, я думаю, тут багато з вас не перший раз в нашому місці. Хто перший раз, я зразу запрошую приїжджати до нас ще і частіше. Завжди раді бачити гостей, але головне електронну квитку. Дякую, приймемо.
I'm happy to see you moving in the direction of the electronic ticket. Thank you very much. Дуже дякую.
І зараз, згідно нашого плану, даємо слово Андрію Білому, заступнику директора департаменту житлового господарства та інфраструктури, який курірує наш проєкт, і з боку міської ради ми відчуваємо підтримку з короткою інформацією про місто і про стратегію розвитку міста.
Всім доброго дня ще раз. Welcome to Lviv. Радий вас дуже всіх бачити. Дуже приємно, що стільки компаній відгукнулося і приїхало. Там, знаєте, що це вже є фінальна стадія. Ми всі вже готові морально, фізично, емоційно для того, щоб цей процес закінчити і почати вже впровадження. Тобто тендер це вже буде. Ми віримо, що це буде останній тендер, і ми визначимося з переможцем. Ми бачимо, що дуже поважні компанії представлені. Дуже багато лідерів документацію. Ми знаємо, що вони будуть приймати участь. Сподіваємося, що всі нададуть свою пропозицію. Буквально два слова скажу про Львів. Ви бачите, що це є чарівне місто. Це засновано королем Данилом Галицьким ще в 13 столітті. І, до речі, для України це дуже нетипова ситуація, тому що в Україні був тільки один король. Це більше королів не було. Князі, були атамани, гетьмани, але король був один, і він заснував Львів. На сьогоднішній день у Львові мешкає більш ніж 700 тисяч населення офіційно. Ми вважаємо, що з тим, що приїжджає у Львів кожен день, їх вже більше ніж мільйон. І всі наші рахункові моделі показують, що у Львові більше мільйона переміщень за день. В наших цих розрахунках більше мільйона людей
over 1 million people move around the city during the day. Cars, public transport. Public transport takes over 50% of movement for Lviv. E-ticketing will be the part of over the half of the inhabitants of Lviv. Then the transport will come to another level in Lviv, that's our better level. We understand that in such a city with historical center, and you can see how how beautiful it is, how lovely it is.
До речі, відрізняється тим, що на такому зустрічі
Also
студентів
for
багато
such big number of people, it's
кожен
only
знає
10
свою мову.
who talk his music.
Це досить невеличке місто,
It's not a big city.
Зараз нас тут 3, близько
Now around 600 rolling stock is running around you. They think that it has to be, this number has to be increased. Брюховичи районники are a part of Lviv, and they belong to Lviv, and that is 5-15 kilometers distance from Lviv. In 2016, when the strategy for development was made, it was part of the President Mayor's campaign. And transport sector was one of the most important parts because it is rather problem for most of cities of Ukraine. Each city chooses its path to reach of the path of split into another concept of relationship. That's why we just want to change the idea. It will be the payment for transportation work. Each ticket, thanks to which the person will collect money, the fare. Each ticketing operator will collect money from the population. There will be monthly delivery tickets. Then it will be distributed between the transport operators. Therefore, all the operators will have to be in time and following schedule. They will not be interested in the amount of people in the bus. They will just be interested in following the schedule. We have to ensure that. And then two very important ideas, the strategy for the mobility. This strategy includes principles that we have to change approaches, we have to leave our cars and use public transport and bicycles, we have to walk more. That is a part of the strategy of the city. But these are the key features of the strategy. Municipal transport share has to be increased. Communal transportation, municipal transportation will be the model for this, for it to be fair and for citizens to practice. And the fourth one is the prioritization of public transport. For the bus to according to the schedule that it should have its separate lanes. And traffic lights have to be organized, integrated when the tram or trolley bus approaches and changes into green. So the public transport has priority. And the increased number of public transport lanes is one of the steps for this strategy. You can see that we're moving to e-ticketing. So that's very productive. city that's just rapidly developing. We can see that there are not enough parking spots in the center of the city. Have 6,000-7,000 parked cars. Now we can have more influence on
Теж розробляється ціла концепція розвитку паркінгів.
regulators to make the access for public transport better. The next point is for pedestrians. Pedestrians always want to have as many public transport stops as possible, but we have to organize it for quality life, to make just minimum very convenient for people. And
Яких просто зручно, приємно знаходитися, перебувати, відвідувати. Місця легкі парки.
where people could gather, go out to the park, open public spaces. It should be in all districts of the city with a separate parking for that too. Then the next point is the bicycle infrastructure. A couple of years ago, bicycle started building bicycle lanes in the city, and more people started using bicycles. As you could see it in European cities, it's either widening the walking pedestrian areas or narrowing of the private transport lanes. These are very important because public transport is one of the priorities for the city, and which includes the design for the city in order to improve the city for it to be better, and there will be no better time than now to change it for better. And please, we are expecting to choose the best proposal for this equipment because it's a great project and it's very necessary for our city. And these are the results of the study that show that public transport is one of the big parts of the city. We needed a couple of years to study this and to decide in the direction we're moving. We improved our strategy for city development, for citizens to feel more comfortable, to be proud of the city. Because people who can create the conditions for good conditions for the citizens in the city are always the winners. I would also like to say that city is developing in the direction of smart city, and it's implemented on different stages. It's healthcare, medical care, education. Of course, we want to implement the most up-to-date technology, a cloud-based system which works without internet. If the internet is down, they will still be able to take it. So it has to be as good as possible to be proud in a couple of years with the system. Here you can see different kinds of projects in the sphere of scientific infrastructure to improve it. You can see here how seriously the city is taking these global problems. It's about funding, so if you can find funding, if the project is very important. Very often international consultants are involved, which help to implement the best solutions for each project. Because now in Ukraine, we don't have enough of professionals of such level. And we're happy to use the international experience in implementation of such a good project in Ukraine indeed. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you for coming. If it's your first time in Lviv, I would like to tell you to try Lviv cheesecake with sirnik. You will appreciate it because it's the best tastiest sirnik cheesecake ever.
Our work. The question for each speaker, and as well as of the end of all speeches, are general questions. Is there questions for Andrei?
Any questions for me? No? Thank you very much. I will be with you all day, so if you have any question, you can ask. Thank you very much for your attention, for coming.
Тоді наш наступний доповідач.
The next speaker is the head of the transport department of Lviv, Oleg Partiko, with the short characteristics of the public transport. I will tell you shortly about the transportation system in Lviv. 5 transport enterprises operate in Lviv. There are experimental, expert, standards, and law framework. Velotokant is the public electric transport operator. With 860 kilometers is the network length of the public transport system. It's been optimized and improved. We can see the trams and the tramway network here. You can see the number of the autonomous lines of the system. With different types of transportation vehicles. Here we've procured hundreds of big buses and 50 electronic buses. The total number of buses, of big buses, will be 150 in the 100 of March. In the last years, we have procured smaller buses, but the number of the buses increased to 75%. There are also these German trams operating in Lviv. There will be around 16 of them at the end of the year. There are 50 trolley buses here. These are municipal transport vehicles. The voucher can see the recently procured buses.
нові автобуси МАЗ, Атаман, які в комунальному підприємстві.
Buses. Trolley buses operation in Lviv. Also trolley buses is on. 251 voluntary units again in Lviv. Used and civil like long camps.
Це є кримський транспорт на юзі Львова.
Там we can see the characteristics of the transport model. Public transport stops are being improved at the moment. 760 public transport stops.
Також дорогі громадського транспорту прослуховуються реконструкції вулиць для потреб освітлення і громадського можливості.
People with limited abilities, transport stops are also being equipped, and we can see the examples of the tickets now. These are the full price tickets and the reduced price tickets. That is our presentation in short.
Є питання до пана Олега?
Are there any questions about that?
І так, презентація оця буде в протоколі
Will be in the minutes of meeting, and it will be sent to all the participants of today's meeting.
зараз
So don't worry if you have missed something in this presentation now, but you will be able to read it later for sure. Thank you.
саме для реалізації проєкту
For the implementation of this project of the automated fare collection, the city
комунальне міське і автодор.
the client
Має
is
досить
easy off the board.
довгу історію
And this common enterprise has a long history of work with the EBRD. Those are short characteristics of the enterprise. Good morning. I would like to say that PED Автодор was created especially for the EBRD projects. The cooperation started with this client in 2009 when the first contract, when the first loan agreement was signed with the EBRD. We are the clients for the reconstruction of roads project in Lviv. We have the experience with traffic light management, technical supervision, and cooperation with other contractors. We also involve international funding. We do the repairs of main streets. We do the reconstruction. There will be projects for reconstruction of existing streets. We work according to Ukrainian and international technology. The organization is parking. Lviv is a very big city with a big number of transportation vehicles, and so we are organizing parking spots for it. Regarding funding, since 2011 we started first construction contract, and we used 3 million euros since then. And then we constructed, we had a project of the construction of the tram line to the retention area of Tykів. which was newly constructed. It runs off then Chernovetsky Street. Lachakivsky Street, which has just been finished 2 years ago. It needs, maybe you can see new streets that were implemented with our enterprise. It's over sand project, and thanks to the support of the city council, we are happy to work with such partners like the EBRD, and we are hoping that this cooperation will last long. Thank you very much. I'm pleased to be here.
Ще питання? Я почну про наш проект.
We'll tell a little bit more about our project. So here's Benko,
Начальник відділу AFC.
the head of the department for legal persons,
І project manager цього проекту.
and the project manager of this project.
Чому взагалі місто йде до
Why does the city
нової системи оплати
moves
проїзду?
toward the new system of paying for the transport fare, to the automated transport fare system?
Є цілий ряд
There
передумов,
is a row of
які
different
не роблять
preconditions
наш транспорт
that do not
громадський
make our
таким,
public
що
transport
подобається мешканцям міста і пасажирам.
in the quality to that extent that it is liked by the residents of the city and the passengers.
Недоліки
All the
присутні
drawbacks
вони
that are present
для всіх
not
міст
only in Lviv,
України,
but they are characteristic for all major towns in Ukraine, and every city
намагаються вирішити цю
tries to
проблему.
solve this problem on its own way.
Ідуть саме
Many
через побудову автоматизованої
choose to
системи
build an
оплати
automated
проїзду,
system for payment for
але
the fare
інтеграція
of
таких систем
transportation,
в місті різна.
but the configuration of these systems in every city is different.
Тут ми бачимо ті цілі,
Here you can see
які
the
ми
aims
хочемо
and the
досягнути
goals
цим проєктом.
and the objectives we would like to reach with this
І
project.
шляхом запровадження саме електронного
On the way
квитка,
that we would like to
системи
implement the
AFC,
e-ticket,
ми хочемо перейти на те, що для
we would
Європи,
like
наприклад, є
to
такий
switch
system,
to
це
the
оплата
system
за транспортну
that is used
роботу. І в цьому
for the transport work.
якби піонери,
We're pioneers in Ukraine in that
міста не
issue.
беруть такого
Other
підходу.
cities do not
Ми ж з самого
choose
початку
this approach.
розглядаємо
And from the
саме
very
наш проект
beginning, we see
як
this our project
інструмент,
as a
який
tool
дозволить нам
that will allow us
платити перевізникам
to pay
транспортного
the
оператора
transport companies,
за
the transportation
транспортну роботу.
operators for
Тому
the
для нас в цьому
work of the
проєкті саме
transport.
і важливо
It is very important for us in this project to combine
AFC
the
і
AFC system and the AM system.
Проект наш фінансується
Our
кілька
project
років.
is financed by
І
EU.
Оціночна вартість проєкту
The today's
сума кредиту, яку
cost of the project is the amount of the credit of the loan
надати банк, це 10 мільйонів євро.
that the bank is providing to us is 10 million euro.
Як вже я казав, замовником
As already
проєкту
mentioned,
комунальне підприємство
the
«Дніпро»,
customer of the project, the ordering party, will be the communal enterprise Lviv that has a rich history of positive cooperation with ARD, and
оцінка від банку
the evaluation by the bank
досить позитивна.
of our enterprise is quite positive.
Мусимо виконати цей проект.
We are able to implement this project.
Львівська міська рада досить
Lviv
виступає
City Council
гарантом на виконання цього
is
проекту
the guaranteeing party of this project
банку.
for this credit of
Ми
the bank,
очікуємо, що наш проект
and
буде реалізований практична самооплата.
we are awaiting for our project. The implementation phase of our project will last 2 years. Definitely, we would be glad
Швидше зробити цей проект.
if it will be implemented faster.
Дякую.
Thank you.
І тоді я передаю слово
Then I give the word to
консультантам нашого проекту.
the consultants of our project.
AFC консультантів, які безпосередньо
about the tender procedure and the tender recommendation.
Hello, my name is Pierre-Yves Tessier, and I'm working for IC Consulenten. So IC Consulenten was chosen as the consultant to help technically Lviv Avtodor to implement this project. The director of IC Consulenten is here, Peter Wurzinger. I'm the project manager for this project, and I'm helping with procurement and with coordination between all experts. We also have a technical team with Philip Bartz and Mike Burden over there. And we propose to introduce our work through two presentations. Peter first is going to introduce the procurement part, and then Philip is going to present the technical matters concerning this project.
Thank you. Good morning. I give a short overview about the procurement procedure, which is specific for large, complex and projects with rapid progress. Afterwards, Philip will go into some specific details of the system so that you get a quick overview. We assume that, of course, you have already read the tender documents, but if there are any questions to come up, you have the platform today to ask them. As I said, large and complex, it is a procedure developed by the EBRD, also used by the World Bank, and somehow for those companies who work in the European Union, comparable to the competitive dialogue, according to the EU Procurement Directive. It is done in those places where the client can expect that the industries have developed solutions which are very quickly progressing, where you have the integration of IT into transportation, connected with different devices. So these are the typical fields where it's applied. So the first stage, in the first stage, you are now asked to deliver a proposal. It's a technical proposal only, and it is not the same as a pre-qualification document only. That means the client gives you functional requirements, gives you technical guidelines, but the system solutions are expected from the bids. In the second stage, after the evaluation of the first and the clarification with the bidders, the updated technical proposal shall be submitted, as well as the financial proposal. These are now the operational steps that the employer, the client, has to take, so that you understand why you are asked to come and for clarifications and for this and that. So just to give an overview from this point of view to understand the procedure. At the opening, the companies are invited to attend. The register of attendance will be distributed. Names of the bidders will be read out. It will be recorded, of course, and the tender opening minutes will be sent to the bidders. After that, right after it, the preliminary examination of the first stage tender will start, usually an hour after the opening, where it's more or less the formal the check if the formal requirements are fulfilled, if everything is complete, properly signed, general in order, etc. The evaluation itself is first the check if the tender is substantially responsive. That it also considers, of course, all deviations, modifications, which are in the proposal. The major check at the very beginning will be if the tender can give the picture that the bidder is qualified to perform, as it is required and stated in the instruction to tenderers. After that exercise, a list of the first stage tenders with non-responsive deviations and issues for clarifications by the tenders will be drafted and sent out. The next step is very important. It's the clarification meetings with all the bidders. The objective of this exercise is to bring the bidders on the same level in terms of the technical solution, so that we can compare apples and apples and not apples and peaches with a financial proposal. So first of all, following the evaluation, where the evaluation team will get more or less all the content, the tender document will usually get an addendum that brings the different technical solution on one level so that they are comparable. Then the bidders will be invited for a clarification meeting, one by one. And then we will conduct those meetings here, and the employer will introduce the technical, the amendments, give of course reasons why, and then the employer will advise what is acceptable, unacceptable, what deviations, exceptions can be accepted or must be withdrawn. This one will of course be recorded. These minutes are the memorandum of clarification meetings that are also then signed by the bidder to confirm that the amendment of the tender is understood and the basis for the financial proposal in the second stage. The second stage should not be too complicated, because the amendment or the changes to the first amendment are clearly presented, questioned, confirmed, so that the bidder is able to amend his proposal in the second stage and also give the financial proposal in the second stage. In terms of the evaluation, it's similar steps like in the first one, starting with preliminary examination, technical evaluation, and of course the commercial evaluation when just the price counts. Then it's only one, unfortunately, but one of the bidders will receive the letter of acceptance following, of course, the no objection by the bank to proceed with a contract, and the invitation to sign the contract. So these are just the major procurement. If there is any question, please raise it. I think it's rather well described. On the other hand, please ask if there is anything.
Is there any timing between the two steps?
The two steps the timing.
No, I was asking, sorry,
Yeah.
if there is any predetermined timing between the two steps.
We have a rough schedule for the program, for the project. On the other hand, we cannot exactly estimate now how long it will take between step 1 and step 2. We will of course try to hurry up as quick as possible, but it depends on the complexity of the offers, on the numbers of the offers that come in. And of course also we have to reserve a certain time to first evaluate, then give the bidders also the time to see what is amended, then come here. So it's hard to say. It can be, I would say, something between roughly 2 months and 3-4 months. That's a very rough estimate, yeah, very much depending on the number of proposals.
Probably it's important to add that we really will work hard to make it maximally quick, because you know, it's a very important project for us, and from our side will be, you know, full support to make it maximally fast.
The number of proposals, also let's say the clearness of each proposal, which makes us first easy to understand and also to compare and bring it on the, let's say, same functional level.
Well, it's understood that the technical submission, that is the first stage, should be done on January the 15th, right?
Yes, this is the date. In the
is there a chance that this date can be postponed?
A chance? I would say, please request it in written.
Yeah, okay, so
Then
we can request in written, give grounds, and
Yes.
you will positively consider, right? Maybe.
Yeah, we will then we will consider, we will discuss it with the client and the bank. And then
Okay,
we'll come back to
thank you very much.
Maybe one point to that. Normally, an extension of such program needs grounds, special grounds why it's extended. I would say Christmas and New Year is not really a ground because that happens every year. But you may have reasons to ask that, and if you state that, we will consider that. If we have no more questions, I would forward the mic to Philip.
A very good morning. My name is Philip Bartz. I'm ITS consultant for the last 25 years. I'm a little technology-driven guy. I don't want to push out here technology words, buzzwords like AI, blockchain, big data, and so on. No, it's not about that. But I want to give you a little insight. What's the purpose behind the technology, what we are asking here in Lviv? Yesterday, I had the time and the pleasure to visit Lviv. I had a little more time. I went here to the Christmas market, and I was wondering, I'm here only for a couple of days. Do I get money, cash, to pay for everything? So I noticed, it's a barrier for me. Do I go and purchase the money from the ATM, go and pay? I have to change it again. I lose money. Why can't I use my card, my bank card, to pay for that? So luckily, on the Christmas market, I found stores which accepted card. It made it easy for me. Cashless travel. And this is actually somehow what you experience everywhere in the world, that apparently technology changes and the classic approaches of purchasing a paper ticket and give cash and get something in return, that changes, and that changes the whole industry currently. We are driving away from this hardware-based technology to purely software. I would like to take that as an opportunity to show why we are doing it in this way now. We have put a couple of slides, highlights from the tender together. We call this kind of technology today, buzzword is account-based ticketing. Well, it's not about ticketing in terms of you have to have a bank account or so. No, it's about identity. You have somehow to identify yourself, to make it easy to travel, to have tourists coming in and say, depending what ID you use, just travel. We don't want to stop you. We don't want to build a barrier for you, make it easier to use the transport here in Lviv. So the account-based ticketing means we need to have a user portal. You need to maintain passenger data inside the system, anonymous and personalized data. We need to have the support for personalized cards, for single product tickets, means like a day pass, monthly pass, and so on. And at the same time, stored value. That's an option which is important. We have the option of pay as you go later on. Yeah, you just pay the distance you travel. When you have multiple zones and so on, this is coming. This is background processing power you need to implement in the technology. Online calculation, all of that comes in. Then for Lviv it's important, and for the supporting bank as well, that the investment what is done here is not only for the next 2 years. It must work for longer. It's a substantial investment. It's not a small tool here. It's an important part of the smart city development here to know that we are future-proof here. We not have to discuss in 2 years' time, oh, no, the system does not support this, and no, it doesn't work, and we have to take out all the readers again, the validators, and replace the back office. Nobody wants that. That is unhealthy for the city, for the development, for the user experience. People should use it, not be blocked by the system. So, for that reason, we are talking about open interfaces. We're talking about common standards support. EMV is I would call it somehow, yeah, it's not a really open loop, to be honest, but it's a common standard. Yeah? We want to have the option that this can be supported, to swipe the bank card and just go, like you have it in London or something. That's an option which comes and should be considered. QR, barcode capabilities of the validators, to have the flexibility to use all kind of media on the bus, saying, okay, just travel. Yeah, you can purchase from the tourist store your card, wherever, the grey market, you can get everywhere tickets, just travel. Don't bother yourself with going to a specific point or go to the driver. You can still go to the driver, but that's expensive, by the way, in future. So it should be easier. So then we have hosting problems. I'm not problems maybe too negative, but the challenge to put a new technology on the ground which needs a lot of service, support, remote access for maintenance. The user experience must be high. It must be always online. There should not be a system outage driven by political decisions, by hardware failures, by money problems. It must be a substantial, always on system. Only in this way such systems can be successful. But that gives a good impression for the travelers. Can you go to the So, and what is part of the tender is not only about the ticketing. There was a huge discussion about that. We want to have as well a combined solution which as well considers monitoring features of the buses, schedule, driver on time, bus on time, some principal communication, integration with passenger information. We have the onboard displays which should be integrated. We want to have a onboard information, when do I arrive at the next stop, all of that. We have the request for a trip planner. That means an interface which is an entry point for passengers to decide how to go, from where to go, when to go. We have an important part in the whole architecture that your system needs to support importing of planning data. There is a development in the city happening which is continuously evolving. You saw all the presentations before speaking about long-term, substantial, sustainable development. The fare circle might be extended. There are multiple operators behind. There is planning data coming in, regular change. So these changes might not be once a year. They might be happening once a month. So there is an import requirement to get this data inside the system, disseminate and to control that in all systems, in all components, it's up to date. So, the system architecture, I spoke before about the way of how the architecture should be. You see that in the tender, just the highlights. It should be an unlocked architecture. Yeah? We're talking about not hardware. Don't want to have a hardware lock on the architecture. You want to have clear, look guys, it's part of the future of that city that your system is working and that your system is not putting restrictions. Your system can be interfaced with key systems of the client in future as well. We are asking for standards. Standards mean easier interfacing, unlocking the things, opening the data. Yeah, this should be clear for you. Scalability, 1 million, you said 700,000 in the city area, more than 1 million in the wider area. Imagine the Lviv or your system could go further beyond that, could have more customer accounts coming in. You have more tourists coming in. That needs to be scalable, not limited. It must be clear that you can do it. How you do it, you have to prove in your documents when you submit. Availability, I spoke about that. That's important. Customer experience. Should not be a complaint about the system not available. That's a KO factor. Switch it off, take another one. It must be working, always available. And the future-proofness is for sure behind that. Some facts about the ticketing, what we are asking for. So we have these account-based ticketing topic, tokenization, identification, back office work. Do the things in the back office as best as possible. Multi-operators, there are 5 operators here, there might come in more. Who knows what happens, but at the end, the system must be prepared for supporting these kind of scenarios. The data must be segregated, the individual reconciliation rules inside the system for the individual operators. They might have different KPIs, measurable, everything must be set up. The radio connectivity to all the equipment, that's a key factor of success. You need to see how convincing the concept works in terms of the whole communication, that all devices can really give the correct user experience, that all are online with the same data, that there's not somebody going from one operator bus to the other operator bus and experiencing a gap between the bus 1 and the bus 2 when he uses a ticket. That is not acceptable. It's a challenge. The 4G network is not so bad here, so I think everything can be done there, but if you feel more comfortable, do it in, for example, for stationary equipment with others, you have to prove it. That your concept supports that, and that's if you have maybe a better solution. That's, no, sorry. It's one of the key presentations. Thanks. Again, the full variety of fair products. Don't lock the system by certain products. The flexibility of business rules, the flexibility of programming the system must be there. Everything is software today. It's not hardware anymore. Yeah? You have a tool, you do everything in the background. Online, it should be not anymore restricted too much. The speed of radio transmission is much better than 20 years ago, even 10 years ago, even 5 years ago. You have a good connection. You can do many things online. Yes, there are some ticket vending machines inside, stationary equipment. In the beginning, there are not many. We don't know yet if maybe when Lviv expands the network further, maybe there will be purchased more. But currently, for example, for airport or for big stations, they are a key element of entry point for Lviv to access the ticketing. The classic way, where's a ticket vending machine? Oh, there, I pick my ticket. They're expensive, we know. It's always about money here, but at the end, it's for tourists important to have these. Well, the machines should be good ones, which have flexibility and future-proofness. Yeah, the EMV support. Once you develop a back office, you should consider that in future EMV might be considered, but that needs to have code change. We could consider that in the beginning already. We are already asking for the option in the tender. And important, a test environment. A test environment is accessible for the client here on site to test all the rules, to be sure that before we release something new, it works in the system on all components. That's a very key factor of success in developing a system, a test environment, a full end-to-end test environment. Yeah, then in asset management, for sure, we want to have all the devices tracked in the system. It's not that big deal, but sometimes it falls behind, yeah, something, oh, where's the asset, where's the ID, where's my device currently, where's the was location, what was the last software update, what's the asset number, all these things need to be considered in your system. Call center, yeah, we have a call center which is responding to client requests. Your application needs to have an interface for this one. The next one, please. Yeah, ticketing, you see on the right side, just to give you, this is the current ticketing, very roughly saying, yeah, you have a physical one and you have already a QR where you can purchase a ticket on the tram via your mobile. So there is already a gap between old and new. We try to fill it now on all the fleet, that we have no gap anymore, that you can use one ticket everywhere. Yeah, that's a key success factor. We have sales option with third parties. We want to be able to sell tickets from third parties. Why not? It's currently as well already available, but on an electronic level, it's a little more complicated because everybody needs to talk to each other. So that needs to be considered, like an internet shop. The business rules management, I spoke about that. Reporting is important. Ticketing data on back office gives valuable data for the client not to make money with that, to develop the city, yeah? Maybe to make money, but that's a client responsibility. And I think from the government-wise, the data, who's paying what, for what is, which customer base I have, that's a key factor. That data needs to be available for the client in the reports. Cash management, yes, there's still possibility to buy a ticket on the bus. We said more or less try to be cashless, but as we know that not everybody maybe wants to pay so much in advance or is not be able to plan his trip properly, there should be no barrier to enter a bus and to have a valid ticket. So you can go on the bus and get a ticket. Yes, you pay more, but at least you can get a ticket. So there's no reason to say I couldn't get a ticket, so I can ride for free. That's the factor. Maybe in future when everything is cashless, that option might be waived, but as of now, it's required, and that's part of your delivery of your devices, sailing tickets on board. Fine management, yeah, inspection is a key thing. Inspection is important because we want to have an ease of inspection, that the inspector, when he goes to the bus, he has not to program the device. He just goes to the bus maybe speaks to the validator saying, okay, you're on bus number so-and-so, your route, you have so many passengers checked in, this is your report, and then you go, again, the inspector can go through and check all the tickets. So there should be an ease of function. I think that's not a big deal for you, your experience in your products. Once you have the chance to implement this, you have the chance here now. We're starting on the green field. Coming to that, back to these artificial intelligence, big data thing, we want to have as well advanced mechanisms. You have to at least show off a little of your capabilities to make use of latest technologies. It's not like dumping data somewhere and saying, yeah, you can get all the data. The report is up to you. No, we want to as well see that you can make use of the data, that your system is advanced in this way already, that it's future-proofed. This contract might not be about 2 years or 4 years only. It might be over 10 years. Because if the system is successful, replacing the system, you know how that works. Clients with ticketing, they don't want to replace the ticketing system every 5 years. That's stupid. Sorry, nobody does it because you have to change your whole marketing. You have to change everything. You want to have a sustainable system. So your system will be the system maybe here for the next 10 years. So this means work next 10 years. So all these technologies you have inside, show them off. Show them that you are providing them. Show them that this is make use. A client can by an ease detect fraud in the system. He can even manage the cards, extend cards, cancel card, everything in an easy way. I would say in a rule-based way. That if an event happens, that the client is informed, not the client has to search for it. I think that's always a key factor. Today you have always to search. When you have a question, you go to Google. No, the question is, if it happens, I want to be informed, and I want to have a proposal. What should I do, and not wait for somebody training me what I can do. I want to have the system telling me what I have to do. That eases the problem on training on stuff and so on. So that's what you have to consider. Yeah, media. I don't want to go in deep, but you already have that in the tender. Yeah, so we have multiple media support. Paper, what the driver prints, the contactless cards, and later on, residential tickets. We have here a residential card that might be an option to integrate. From the products wise, you have these single ride tourist season discount preferential tickets. I think it's explained quite well in the tender. Be aware that there are a variety of rules behind that to account it properly. That makes it maybe a little difficult, but in principle, I don't think that's a software limitation. There's any software limitation to processes, but you should be aware. Yeah, the fare. The fare is in principle a time-based fare currently, so we want to have subscriptions option as well. Everything is written in the tender. I don't want just to summarize it here. Up to 10 types of concession discounts should be supported. We have starting currently this preferential discount in students and the standard. So speaking about what I said before, the flexibility should be there. I mean, there should be no limitation to program it. personalized ticket, anonymous tickets, a matter of data handling, how to manage expired tickets and on, explain it to us. Most underestimated are transfer rules. They can be very naughty in the details. Yeah, when you have different operators and you have different areas, transfer rules are important. They need to work everywhere and not be limited by the technology. Zone-based is currently, it's more or less like one zone, but that might change, so we want to be able to implement it. And here comes the intelligence again. Capping, daily capping, means somehow heading to a best price option for the passengers. So when they are using your card or your ticket more, twice, 3 times, you not have to pay 1, 2, 3, 4. You pay maybe maximum 4, and then you are done for the day, or done for the week, or done for the months. You want to have the rider, they trust the system that the city is providing to the traveler the best possible options. Yeah, I need to speak about that. That's not underestimated because it has links to the AFC. The AVL fleet management is an important system. Not only in the AFC we need multi-operator, we need in the AVL as well. So we have here the flexibility to upload schedules from the different operators, to manage the data of the operators in the AVL. Standard interfaces, map-based system, which is most convenient. You know, GIS systems are quite common. Everybody knows Google, but Google does everything with the data what they want. So maybe you have your own solution for this one, to use the data based on OpenStreetMap or however you process the data visually. There are central and decentral workplaces, so your system concept must work everywhere. It's not like you need to be able to access it from everywhere. Don't want to have limits here. Connection and transfer management in the OCC and the transportation center that you see graphically, that it works. That is not only a tabular form giving me a number. No, we want to have an easy to understand system. Not complicated, but easy to understand, please. State-of-the-art prediction. There was one specific chapter in the tender about prediction. Prediction is a complicated thing, yeah, because you can say it, I just do it linear, saying, yeah, what should I do? Who cares about 2 minutes? Yeah, but we are talking about now year 2018. Prediction is the key to success today. Quality comes from a good prediction. Yeah? When we do weather forecasts, you see how bad this sometimes works. You know how bad it is. But if I have an arrival, I have a meeting, and I go to the bus, and the bus says, yeah, 2 minutes, you're there. And then you spend 10 minutes there. Then you decide, okay, next time I take an Uber, or I walk maybe. Maybe it's better for me to walk. So, but I not choose a bus. So prediction is that you make a promise. The city makes a promise as a system. This is a target you have to fulfill. You want to have quality in the system. So prediction, make a good, valuable show of your system that your prediction is not a stupid thing, that you have really thought about that you consider multiple impacts, historic data, maybe, how you do it. It's one of the important things to have quality in the system, passenger information quality. GTFS was requested as an export of data and for the real time as well. That opens a third-party access to this data that helps to disseminate public transport data, to make it easy to integrate it with Google and so on, so they have an online system. And to allow as well other systems to feed in live data in the visualization tool of the central system of the AVL. Next one. On board. Driver interface. You have AFC driver interface or AVM driver interface. That's up to you. You can have one device or you can have 2 devices. But we want to have a quality setup. So one has a printer, maybe you have a remote, have a separate printer. However you do it, must be convincing. Yeah, that we're not floating the bus with devices, and you have to have power cables everywhere. You have to check all the connectors. Keep in mind, this is not always a new fleet you have here. The devices need to operate here in an environment which is evolving continuously. Your device must be good. Driver interface has driver information. This is typical stuff. And keep in mind the number of vehicle types you have here. Not only about the age, it's about the number of vehicle types. So it must work in all these kinds. Some have maybe a good power supply, some have problems in the power supply. Keep in mind that might be a problem for you later on when you do service and maintenance, that suddenly a bus has, or an OBUS has a power spike, and the problem is then your device has burned and you haven't considered maybe a protection in there. Keep that in mind, please. Next one, please. Yeah, passenger information, as I said before, predictions, it's important. Everybody knows that. Yeah, you want to know, where's my bus? Am I on time? What is my promise? What is it really as good as everybody says? We need to be able to present that outside, on board and on the center side. RTPI is I would say, in an environment of mobility as a service, intermodality, coming these topics, these buzzwords, passenger information is the key, because if one link, one leg in your journey is not working, you're not going the whole journey. You're going straight to the taxi, or you're going straight to the private illegal operator, not operator, illegal taxi, and take that way of transport. It's not the way. We want to be sure that we are disseminating the good data to all the stakeholders, and that the system is providing that in a proper way. Yeah, from the IT point of view, as I said introductionally, we want to have a use of future-proof radio systems. So your modems, what you're installing, should be not only replaceable with the newer modems, newer models, they should as well already on the level of supporting the latest standards. That gives us as a client and you as a contractor already the future-proofness. Yeah, so when we are speaking about 4G, we don't have 3G modems inside. 4G, we can have backward compatibility. Yeah, so then there's this option with the hosting and with the bring your own service. You have these two options. Explain what is, from your point of view, the best thing to have the best solution. We will choose. You have a look. It might depend on each contractor and his proposal. Emergency data, so disaster recovery is part of that, so the whole concept must work. Scalability, high availability to have a good user experience. Next, please. Yeah, and we have a design very principle. We sit together, design the system. After you have done the proposal, you get the award, we sit together, go through the specification saying this is this, do it in this way, this is this color, all of that. That's the design work. It's a quite intensive work between you and the client. There must be a good language capability on both sides. You don't want to have transition issues. Everybody must have a clear understanding of what should be achieved. Then you have to build it in a certain way. You have to maintain it, and doing the maintenance, you already have to do service. It's not only doing the warranty, you have only do the service. You not only, implement, done, no. After that, you still be here for minimum 2 years to do the maintenance already on the system. Yeah, so it's already including that. Operate part, if you go for hosting, it's your problem to keep the system alive, right? All the software, all the basic software, this is your problem to keep it alive, and this should be understood. So, yeah, maintenance, coming to the maintenance. So the client is willing to take over level 1 and level 2 responsibilities on hardware. That makes totally sense. He has the workshops. You can delegate that work in terms of hardware easily. With spare stock and so on, that's feasible. So a certain extent, we need to be aware that level 3 is definitely yours, because when you have to open the device and to fix really physical things, that's up to you, sure. But software is another story. So everything on parameterization, customization, in terms of user administration, system configuration, the client is able to do, wants to do it. So you need to train the client. But everything what comes on bug fixing and so on, sure, that's your role. Yeah? Level 3 software, level 2 software, it's up to you. Level 1, let's see how it goes out in the activities when we have the design talks, where we see, can we do it, can we not do it? But in principle, you have to cover most of the things. Okay, next one. So now, just for the schedule, you know the schedule. You ask how long does it take. Detailed design, it's currently only 3 months. I would say intense months of sitting together. This is from our point of view experience, one of the most critical phases. So once the mobilization starts and you're coming over, that is intense. It must be convincing that your team is able to answer all the questions and develop together with us the future design. Production development, there are certain milestones behind that. This is part of your way how to roll out, to start having a test environment, starting hardware, show the hardware, test the hardware, and so on, like factory acceptance, which starts then in the pre-production testing. Prepare that, getting certificates maybe. Maybe you need in Ukraine certificates. Think about that. So if you have here a certain certificate which is required to operate here, maybe for a radio device and so on, consider that in this period. Yeah? Not come later on saying, yeah, device will get certificate, and after 1 year you not have the certificate, so the client has to take out all the equipment. That might happen. Just check all of that. Yeah, test operation acceptance, installation, so it depends on detailed agreements and which device first and so on. Yeah, and the service and warranty period. And after that, it's up to your good system if there will be an extension or an order of the long-term maintenance options. That's part of your job before to have a convincing setup. Faster is always better, but we want to be realistic. Okay, I think that was a presentation. If you have any questions, I think most of the things are in the tender.
Yes, I've got
yeah?
one question. Have you thought about any fiscal aspects, for example, TVMs? Because you probably,
So I was saying, sorry, I was asking whether you have thought about the fiscal impact on the devices that we are going to install. For example, the TVMs should probably release not only the ticket, but also a fiscal document.
You mean the receipt, the papers?
The fiscal receipt.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of the agreement when we come to the design phase. There's a printer inside,
But
right? So there's a printer,
it's a big part, because fiscal printers for outdoor terminals are not found everywhere.
Yeah,
and can only be local.
Without any doubt, when you have to have tax considerations and so on, you need to have a proof, right, to these things. The device should have all the options of handling these receipts, these fiscal parts.
Fiscal parts can only be local. Cannot be from outside.
There is also a possibility to require an identification to the fiscal authority before printing the receipt.
Yeah, but that's part of your role to make it happen. That's why we're sitting together and see how that works.
At the moment, you didn't investigate about this topic.
Sorry?
At the moment, you didn't analyze that topic. It is a matter of the supplier.
Well, we have a strong support from the city here to make that happen. And I think ticketing systems are not so uncommon. I mean, do you have a problem with this? So it's just a matter of agreeing with the client and with the financial institutions here to get it done. So as long as your system has it in mind, and we're sitting in this period, what I said before, to get it done, then you will get as well as the certificates to issue this one. Because you already have these issuing devices out here, so it's not new in Ukraine. And I'm quite convinced that this is possible. And TVM maybe, yeah. But as I said, certification might be a process which takes longer, but the TVM, we not have so many TVMs here. We have only, I think, 6, 8. It's not as many. The key factor is the online store, the wider sales options with the driver interface and so on. But definitely a good point, but that's typical discussion between you guys and us and the client and the stakeholders which are involved in this one. So we set up the proper committee for this one to get it done. Yeah, but your system must for sure have all the preparations for this one.
Excuse me.
Sorry, right? Yeah.
It is should be applied also here in Lviv, GDPR.
Yeah, but this is part of your of a setup. What we have, you cannot implement everything in your proposal, but you can say this is required. You have to put your requirements in, what you need from the client to handle that, and we will set up the proper committee and to get the things done. This is what typically happens, right? As long as your system can support that. To have in the back office all the reports done and to get everything settled. I think that's not a big deal.
Can I say some words about fiscalization? Ukraine. Робоча група при Міністерстві інфраструктури на даний час розробила вже проєкт закону про те, щоб оплати на транспорті
is not fiscalized, so it is not an object of fiscal service. For now, we don't have the possibility to pay from a transport card without fiscalizing this process. This process can happen during the fulfilling, the replenishment of the card, when we pay or put some amount of money onto that card. But still, there is a big question on the fiscalization of a banking card while paying in the transport, and this question, this issue, for now is being solved by the Ministry of Infrastructure.
Next question.
Наступне запитання.
I would like to ask you about the evaluation criteria, because you mentioned here several option variant, and of course we can offer the option, but for example you mentioned it at the beginning, the bank card. If you are a tourist, you would like to use the bank card. So if we offer, for example, a bank card solution at the beginning, will it be some benefit for in the evaluation criteria?
Now, first of all, you need to support bank cards, right? If we do it in the beginning already with the bank cards, that's decision to what we are progressing in the design. So first of all, your system needs to support that. If I'm saying that a tourist might be able to use a bank card, the system needs to support it. If in the beginning we will not turn everything upside down. We want to have a migration phase. I don't think it's a big problem to have the capability of the system of using a bank card technology in place. We are starting with a phased approach. We're doing certain ticket media products we are rolling out in the beginning, which might not include the bank card yet. But I think that's part of this detailed discussion we have together and together with the client. I don't think we cannot decide everything right now, because we need to see how good your systems are and how safe we are in getting all these approvals here from the banks to get it done. We don't know how fast it goes. That's part of the teamwork between both of us. And we have a tough plan, so we don't want to wait.
But if the system should accept the bank card at the beginning, there must be set up some, let's say, certification of these devices. There is written that the devices must be certified, but you mentioned there the PCI DSS certification, which is not, in my opinion, correct. The devices should be certified PCI PTS, and the DSS mean just the certification of the flow of the money from the device itself to the back office. That's the certification of PCI DSS. So I'm quite confused in the specification.
First of all, we have the smart cards, which we anyhow will provide, right? In the first, I think that we ask for a MyFair, for example, to have a basic device support of the MyFair. There's a bank card certification. I think particularly it comes to EMV and the CMV, it's an option, right? We said it's an option to implement this one. There's written it's an option, but the technology should support it. If you're not getting the certification, we're not getting the device certification in the beginning for all of that, you need to explain that maybe you not have yet all these certifications. Your back office is not supporting that. We need to see it. I mean, there are contractors, as far as I know, said, yes, we have all the certifications already. We not have a problem of supporting that. You have to pay for this. If you choose that option, then you get all the certification along with the delivery. That's why we have it as an option. the bank card support means technology support. If you're saying that the certification for the device should be from the beginning already included, then put it in your proposal in this way, saying the explanation for this to support bank cards need this, bank cards need this, this, and this, and maybe you have to choose the EMV option already to get all the certifications. Explain it to us how you want to achieve that. Maybe your device already has this. I think there are vendors already having this.
Yes, that was the question. What will be the evaluation criteria? Because we have some benefits and we have something that, let's say, have it and.
Well, for sure, if the device already has the capability to do it and you have proven installation, definitely in the evaluation that is a benefit for you, because that means there is less risk in implementation, for sure.
Yes, my question is that you said that it is a benefit. Why? It is a benefit for example, assessment of the offer.
Yeah, because
yes, because that guy said, you know, that he will deliver the device which will be prepared, you know, for bank cards, you know, because he has a ready product, and you said that it will be benefit. What kind of benefit in better assessment of the offer?
So, just to probably be a translator, the question is, are you getting any points or advantage against other competitors if you provide extra solution, right? So, I would like consultant, of course, to confirm that I'm answering this correctly, but the answer is that no, right? You compete on the same level. The price is the only determine, right, of your whether you win or you not. Before you come to the price, you can offer options, functionality, additional functionality of the system. The client may choose to have it as a mandatory, may choose to have it as an optional thing, right? But the price is the only thing that is being compared at the tender. Is that clear? No?
Here in the first stage tender, each party will present their solution anyway, technically, and at the end of the first stage tender, will you decide some criteria for the second stage?
Maybe I can give the answer with an example. 5 of 6 tenderers state in their tender the option that their technology allows payment with bank cards. 1 tenderer does not state this. In the clarification meeting after the evaluation of the first stage, the tenderer with this missing statement will be asked, is your technology able to cope with bank card payment? And will they say yes? Okay, please confirm. And then we have in this topic the same level of all tenderers.
You will request this level from all shortlisted participants?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I can briefly again repeat these steps. You submit the first stage tender on the 15th of January. Then the evaluation team will review and evaluate all the incoming tenders, and then we will see in the evaluation the level of the majority of the bidders in terms of technology, which is of course according to the functional requirements which are laid down. And when we say that, like Philip explained before, we are more and more getting rid of hardware, of paper tickets. So simple all-day cards that we are using already. So using bank cards will be essential. Maybe not from the very beginning, as you say, we have a stepwise implementation, but it's important to have this. And when we see that, let's say 90% are able to do it, and one says, okay, I'm very sorry, but my system can not at all cope with that, then we say, sorry, reject it, because we have the majority who can do it. Understood?
Yeah, just a small addition for better understanding. At the end of this first stage, when you shortlist the parties, will you again issue a new document like bill of quantity and RFP?
It is the amendment to the tender dossier which will be sent out to the bidders, yes. Upon this, you make the second stage proposal plus financial offer.
Okay. One more question. Normally in a present situation, as far as I know, all the passengers are getting the vehicles from each door and they are leaving from each door. And will it continue, or other kind of solutions is acceptable?
Validation is only upon entrance to the bus, not exit, but entrance is foreseen from all doors of the bus, trams and trolleybuses.
It means there will be a validator in each door of the vehicle?
Yes, yeah, and probably 2 validators at the central door for big buses.
Так і розраховано на нові автобуси, на центральні двері 2 валідатори.
I have a question regarding language of the tender offer, because there is stated in tender documentation that offer should be in English language and also Ukrainian language. But it is not clear if only technical part needs translation to Ukraine or all documents regarding formal documents. Thanks.
We need all documents to be translated in Ukrainian. The official language of the tender is English, but we will have, as part of the tender committee, some people who don't understand English, so they will read the Ukrainian Ukrainian version. We need the Ukrainian version to be complete and good quality. Now, if there is any issue with discrepancy between the versions, the English original is ruling.
Okay, thanks.
I'm just saying, about the deadline of the first stage, because translation will take 2 weeks, to make the translation. And at the beginning, it will be that the deadline of 15th of January is not in force.
Yeah, we're hearing you, but I will have the same answer as Peter before me. This is not a question that we can answer to you now, and any questions at this level have to be written formally for us to answer to everybody.
Okay, and I would like to ask you about the account-based system, because you write there some limitation, like time of the dispatch of the passenger. So there is written 500 milliseconds or something like that. But there is not clearly written in the tender documentation if the transaction has to be evaluated in the back office or directly in the vehicle, And if in the back office, how can you reach this, let's say, short time if there is a lack of the network, of the GSM network, which may happen? And okay, if it has to be done just in the vehicle, who will take care for the money that is, let's say, deducted from the card, and the card can be used again in other vehicle, and this vehicle can be also offline, and so there can be some deducted money which is below the zero. So who will take care for this money?
Are we discussing your system design here already? I mean, we have clearly said that there should be, the system should have capability to work offline and to reconcile this processing if there's a problem in the transmission, etc. So you need to be able to convince that your system can digest these time gaps which can happen in the transactions. That's a normal, that's something what we are already requesting in the tender. You should show us how you want to do it. This is your system solution. We know that nothing is perfect. There's not always 5 milliseconds connection between the bus and the back office. We know that. But I think, and we think that your system can be prepared for this one. And the first implementations are showing that it's working. And there is an acceptance. Sure, we have to discuss that. If there's an exception that in average we have a problem that we cannot synchronize it in the way that the expectation is, then we have to find a business rule how to handle that. But that's discussion of the detailed design.
Yes, you are right. But the question other was there is written that passenger buy trips. So if I validate myself in the vehicle, I'm going to the zero, and in the next vehicle, if the vehicle is offline for some lag of the network, I can go below the zero, so I can go to the minus because the vehicles are not synchronized.
But we have in the tender written clearly.
The question is who will take care for this minus trips? So it will be the Lviv transport company.
We have written in the tender that there is that the client can decide that a negative amount is programmable to cover these problems. So if your system can do that, then it's a matter of we need to decide that together in the system design. We cannot decide it now. It depends on your system solution. So these programming is part of the business rules, what we have to put in the system.
But the system cannot or may not know that I'm going to the zero due to the network lag.
Yeah, but how else you want to approach that? We have to see what your system can do, and then we see what the reality is, and then we can decide how we want to program it. Do we need to decide it now? Isn't that part of your solution to convince us that we can do it this way or this way? From your point now? So what you want to propose? I mean, apparently you want to have a detailed agreement already how this works, but you can write it in the requirements, and we can consider it in the second stage. If you have a question and we say, okay, this needs to be cleared, we can update that, and then we can share that among all of us, and then we have an agreement on this one. We're not going to, let's have a look in this if this really is required to do that. But I think it's not now here to decide. Then submit that question officially. We take a look at this, and we consider that in the second stage. Okay? Yeah.
Any question?
Huh? Did anybody from you already collected the documents? You already had this? Or you're now keen to do that? Just wondering? Who has collected the documents already? None? Okay. You purchased the documents? Yeah?
So I think we have a program now starting after this session to show you a little the reality. I hand over to the client to announce how that works. Okay? Any more questions? We are anyhow the whole day here, but please remind it, we are not accepting any side discussions. We will share all information we exchange with all of you. So this is a clear statement here. Okay?
Yeah, maybe I can just give a last word. Any questions that you have raised and which may arise, you please send in written to the contact of the tender dossier, which is Julia Stefaniuk. She will then gather it and you will receive the answers as quick as possible.
Так, і за результатами нашої зустрічі буде
There will be a minute meeting where all the participants will be included and you will, and all the questions will be included and you will have all the answers to them.
Відредаговано просто як стилістично, і ви отримаєте протокол зі всіма відповідями на ваші питання. Тому якщо є ще зараз питання ще додаткові, можете їх задати і також швидше отримати відповідь.
Just to finalize our questionnaire today, what we are going to have from you. Now you understood the biggest points from the most important points from consultants, which are supported us to make it maximally transparent, clear and fast. From question point of view, you understood that you propose some solution and you should give us clear clarification how it will work on our vehicles in our conditions to get exactly that specific details and targets which are clarified in tender documentation. And afterwards, you will give a calibration letter, let's say calibration because we really should compare apples to apples, not to potatoes or to peaches. We just need to have the same level of functionality and it will be next steps after your proposals. If we are still not talking about price, we are talking about functionality. And afterwards, we give you a clear changes to our documentations which we accept as a client to have in our system. But first proposal should be from you that you can give us the high level of technology and exact what we want, what we expect. After we have all propositions from you, from technical point of view, we will discuss it together. We will evaluate according to our evaluation scale, which was developed also together with consultants. And only after that, we will sit on the same, let's say, table and discuss all the changes which we can accept. And then after, like as a final stage, you will give us a financial proposal. And if you're talking about the same functionality, you already gave us all confirmations that you are able to do it, you are financially able, you are experienced able, then we can compare all proposition on the price, which we have the same level of solution. Yeah, you understood it. From term perspectives, it's always the question how fast we can from client and how old we have like reserved time for supplier. You should understand that we as a client, we have a lot of procedures done with the bank, and now we are so ready as never before. And we want to get it as fast as possible, just to understand, as fast as possible. And of course, we understand that there is some Christmas time, there is New Year, but from a supplier, when I worked for a business, I understand that everything is solvable, everything. If you want to be on time, you will be on time. You will find a translator with 3 days translation. You will find the people who can create this technical tender documentation. It's all manageable. Everything is manageable. From our side, of course, if all of you will request time postpone, of course we will give a message to bank and we will ask that please let us postpone the finish date, but it's not good for us, okay? Because I can tell that another postpones did not give us a result, really, because a lot of companies asked, and afterwards they are not taking, they're not giving a proposal for us. It's not understandable why they asked. So if you want, I believe that if you want, it's all manageable, and 2 months is enough to give first technical proposal, and you can believe, but this time schedule which Peter and Philip shows, it's not really what we want. We want is much faster, you know, and so additional postponement is not good for us, let's say. But as I said, if you will ask, if everybody asks, then we will review it and give us the answer. And again, all your questions, please give us in written form to Julia, and you will get a clear answer for all questions from each company will be given to every company which is applied. Any questions?
Well, is it allowed to communicate directly with the project managers in case of questions, or technical side, or administrative side, or all questions should be channelized to Miss Julia?
All questions should be written, because we're doing this project according to EBRD policies, and all questions should be written, and consultants and EBRD will give also the answer for each question. And you know, this process will be very transparent, and every company will receive all answers, you know, just to have the same level of understanding.
Yes. Yes, we need to make sure that not only you receive an answer, but everybody receives the same amount of information, of course. Well, questions can be asked by anybody, but answers will be sent to everybody, every company who has requested the tender documents. There's no deadline for the purchase, there's a deadline for submission, 15th of January. You can still purchase tender documents, if that was the question.
Preferably to have all your questions in written form till the end of this week. It's very preferably. Just to have enough time to process all these questions, to give all answers to every companies, and then we will have enough time to...
For request for clarifications, questions, I think the tender documents indicate the deadline until which you can send requests. I think it has to be 2 weeks before tender opening. I might be wrong, but check that from the tender documents. 28 days, sorry.
4 weeks before, and? So approximately end of the week, okay? 28 days before end of submission.
Шановні гості, якщо немає більше запитань, то ми свою
have no questions. We would like to complete our work in conference mode. We have the visit planned to the center of operation of the vehicles, Gen Depot and Depot Park. You have seen the photos of the vehicles, now you will be able to see them in video. We have a lunch planned for 12:30. We completed our meeting earlier, so at 12:30 we are expecting you in the Leopolis Hotel. The address is indicated on the projector wall. Вхід театральний, сюди праворуч. It's 12:30. Зараз у нас є деякий вільний час. Дякую дуже.